The soft hum of the refrigerator was the loudest sound in Sarah's small apartment. It was a sound she'd grown accustomed to, a quiet backdrop to her solitary life. But now it was accompanied by another silence, a profound, unbreaking stillness that emanated from the dark shape curled on the rug beside her armchair. This was Barnaby. He didn't twitch an ear when the delivery truck rumbled past the window, or when the upstairs neighbor dropped something with a startling clatter. He didn't even stir when Sarah, after an hour of silent reading, reached out a tentative hand to gently stroke his coarse fur. He simply existed. It had been 4 months since Sarah had adopted him from the city shelter. She'd gone in that day feeling a familiar ache of loneliness, hoping to find a furry companion to fill the quiet spaces in her life. The shelter was a cacophony of barks and whines, a symphony of desperate hope and boundless energy. Dogs lunged at the bars of their kennels, tails wagging furiously, eyes pleading for attention. And then there was Barnaby. He sat in the very last kennel, tucked away in a dimly lit corner. He wasn't barking. He wasn't even standing. He was simply sitting, perfectly still, his dark eyes fixed on some distant point, unblinking. The volunteer had warned her. He's a bit unique, never barks, doesn't seem to eat much. We call him Old Man Barnaby because he's just so quiet. Other potential adopters had walked past, drawn to the boisterous puppies or the friendly retrievers. But Sarah, herself a quiet soul, felt an inexplicable pull towards this silent, unmoving creature. He didn't demand, he simply waited. And in that waiting, she saw a reflection of her own quiet yearning. She took him home that day, a nervous excitement fluttering in her chest. She bought him a plush bed, the finest kibble, and an array of squeaky toys. She imagined lazy afternoons, walks in the park, the gentle thud of a wagging tail against her leg. But Barnaby, it turned out, had no interest in squeaky toys, or walks, or kibble. He never barked, not at the mailman, not at the squirrel that taunted him from the window, not even at the stray cat that sauntered boldly across their lawn. His silence was absolute, a void where a dog's natural vocalizations should be. She'd leave his food bowl filled with premium kibble, and it would remain untouched day after day. Yet he didn't seem to waste away. He maintained his lean, healthy frame, his dark fur sleek and glossy. And his eyes, they never blinked, not once. She tried counting, watching him for minutes on end, just to catch a flicker. There was none. His gaze, dark and ancient, was fixed, unwavering. Sarah tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was traumatized. Maybe he was just an incredibly zen dog. She'd searched online forums for dogs that don't bark or dogs that don't eat. None of it quite fit Barnaby. He wasn't picky. He simply didn't engage with the food. He wasn't selectively mute. He was utterly silent. Days bled into weeks, and weeks into months. Barnaby became a fixture, a silent sentinel in her apartment. He never demanded anything, never sought affection. Yet his constant, unblinking presence began to shift from unsettling to strangely comforting. When she was working at her desk, he was on the rug, watching. When she was cooking, he was in the kitchen doorway, watching. It wasn't a menacing watch, but a deep, profound observation. She started to feel less alone, not because she had a typical pet, but because she had this unique, unwavering presence. He didn't fill the space with noise or movement, but with a palpable, quiet awareness. One crisp autumn afternoon, Sarah was sorting through a stack of old documents, tidying up her records. Among them were Barnaby's adoption papers, still pristine, slipped inside a clear plastic sleeve. She pulled them out, half smiling at the memory of that day at the shelter, the quiet hope she'd felt. She scanned the simple form: name, Barnaby, age, unknown, color, black. And then her eyes snagged on the line below. Breed. Her brow furrowed. She expected to see mixed breed, or perhaps Labrador mix, which was what she'd always assumed. But the space wasn't blank. Neatly typed in a font slightly different from the rest of the form, it simply read, "Watcher." The word hung in the air, a bell tolling in the silence of her apartment. Watcher. A cold shiver traced its way down her spine, not of fear, but of an uncanny recognition. It clicked. The silence, the unblinking eyes, the lack of hunger, the constant, unwavering gaze. It wasn't a breed she'd ever heard of, not one listed in any dog encyclopedia. But it was Barnaby. It was precisely him. She looked up from the paper, her gaze landing on the dark, still form on the rug. Barnaby was watching her, as always. His dark eyes, ancient and knowing, seemed to hold the weight of uncounted centuries. He wasn't a broken dog or a strange one. He was simply what he was, a watcher. And in that moment, the initial unease dissolved, replaced by a strange sense of peace. She had not adopted a dog in the traditional sense, but something else entirely. A guardian, an observer? She didn't know, and perhaps she didn't need to. He didn't bark, didn't eat, didn't blink, but he watched. And in his quiet, profound presence, Sarah found a companionship unlike any she had imagined. A silent, steady anchor in her life. The world is full of the unexpected, isn't it? Sometimes the most profound connections come in forms we could never anticipate, challenging our assumptions about what companionship truly means. We go searching for one thing and find ourselves face to face with something entirely different, something that redefines our understanding of belonging and acceptance. Have you ever encountered a connection that defied all your expectations? Perhaps a pet with a truly unique personality, or a friendship that bloomed in the most unlikely of circumstances? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this journey into the quiet mystery of Barnaby, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that invite us to look a little closer at the extraordinary in the ordinary. Until next time, stay curious and keep an open heart for the quiet watchers in your own life.